And we're live. And I say we as the accumulation of all that I am because my co star, Mark, Outlaw Mark, he's has technical difficulties. So he's going to be joining us. What the hell? This is so weird. This is so weird. All right. So, yeah, he's going to be joining as soon as possible. And I guess we could start off by saying we. This is so weird. Why am I talking in the plural? Because you're with me, you, the listener. Yeah. So we can talk off. We can start. Oh, more coffee, more coffee. Red rum, red rum. Um, we can start off by wishing all the fathers a belated happy Father's Day. So it was Father's Day yesterday, and I'm a dad. Maybe it's appropriate because Mark has not brought that into his life, and it's so weird. There's such a like the Sneetch's story is such a simple way of saying like those with stars and those without, and really it doesn't matter. We have so many ways of separating on this planet. You know, those with kids and those without, those who drink and those who don't, skin color, religious beliefs, the origination of knowledge, the alpha and omega. It's just like, really, like, what's it all about? I had this great conversation with Bodhi yesterday, and it was like, just being in the present, being in the moment, and happy now. Forget all the chaos in the mind, which we've all heard, we've all read in bestsellers. Um, all right, so I'm here waiting for Mark. Happy belated Father's Day to all the dads out there. Even if you don't deserve it, 'cause some of you are fuckers. And all of us can be fuckers at some time, but it was such an easy thing. You just had to be present. That's all you had to do. Would have been fine. Oh, look, there's 9 Facebook pixels associated with the live streaming platform. That's so weird. All right, so he said he was going to probably be 10 minutes late because he had to restart his computer. Hopefully, maybe this recording is just going to languish on the shelf and never go live. This is episode 53 of Moped Outlaws, and it's time for a sip of coffee. So join me, won't you, in a sip of coffee? A sacred moment. Shut up, Greg, and drink your coffee. Okay, I hear you. Just a moment, please. That is good coffee. Yes. All right. So my eldest is in Bali. I was looking on a map with Jonah, and Bali is like closer to Australia than anywhere else. Like that's the closest continent. She's as far away from me as she can possibly get right now. And she just landed. She had a fantastic flight there. And oh, here he is. He has arrived. So welcome, Mark.
Get this party started in here.
All right. That wasn't 10 minutes. You're not as late as you thought you'd be.
Yeah, well, I thought I was going to be that late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was just talking a lot of shit about you. Had the good grace to take up the 4 minutes allotted to me by myself to just talk shit about my partner in this venture and what a lackadaisical, lazy, no good, red-necked, pumpkin eating, sauerkraut throwing against the wall motherfucker you are.
Wow. That's really flattering.
Thank you. You're welcome. Amen.
Yeah. I really appreciate you seeing me for all of my in all my fullness.
That's beautiful. Actually, I was just mentioning to our audience of zero that yesterday was Father's Day.
Yeah.
Art forgot to mention that to us.
Yeah,
And
well,
And then I also was talking about how Robyn is just landed in Bali about an hour ago.
That was a
She
long trip.
Yeah, it was. Well, part of it because her fucking flight that was supposed to be leaving at 12:05 Tuesday morning, like just after midnight, actually ended up leaving Monday morning at 8 in the morning. They never told her. She never got a notice or anything. So she was scrambling Monday. Hopefully she's going to get her money back for that. But she ended up on the Arab Emirates. Is that how you say that
I
airline?
don't know.
Emeritus,
I have no emeritus. Emeritus.
Emeritus. Is that how you say? Yeah,
I think. I'm
an
guessing.
awesome flight. An awesome flight.
Yeah, I've heard good things about that airline.
Yeah, she's waiting. So she had economy, middle of the seat, like basic. Um, and she was waiting to get into the bathroom. She starts talking to one of the stewards. He ends up being in charge of all the whole flight and he invites her up to first class. So she hung out at the first class bar for like 4 hours, had champagne, relaxed, and it's killer. It was,
Well, Bali's actually a 2-stop flight, as I understand it, and that
yeah,
first leg is 18 hours,
yeah,
right? It's
in Dubai. She stopped in Dubai and she had a layover there for 9 hours, I think.
wow.
Yeah,
Dubai, huh? That's a pretty
yeah.
bitchin' place from what I hear.
Well, she didn't venture out because
No, of course not.
yeah, but she, if, I think the whole experience, and then um, one of Liz's yoga teacher friends had a friend that lived in Bali. So the long story short is a gentleman was waiting for her at the airport in Bali to pick her up. And sounds like
Someone known and trusted by the family.
exactly, exactly. And so I think she's off to a wonderful start on her adventure
Yeah. It's a
across the
time traveler
salts.
because you cross the date line.
Yeah, it's Friday morning right now. She just texted me. I just made it through customs. I'm heading out to the car now, and it was Friday morning, and here we are. Shh, don't look behind the curtain, but it's Thursday morning.
I was gonna
So what I
say, she had such a long flight that it took her till Monday to get there.
yeah.
An hour ago Monday.
So
But
now everyone knows when
again,
I was wishing everyone a happy, post Father's Day and talking about my Father's Day. I just made the whole thing up because
yeah, see, and Moped Outlaws fans, you can just rest easy in the fact that you guys are multidimensional travelers. Like it just comes with the territory as part of this whole podcast is you are multidimensional time travelers.
it's part of what we do. Now, what is real when this is live is that tonight is the summer solstice.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. The light is fully lit.
Yeah. Boy,
It's
that's
also the day that we celebrate Juneteenth, even though Juneteenth is the Sunday, the 19th. We celebrate it as a national holiday on
is it
Monday.
really a national day off? Are banks closed?
Let me ask Google that question. I
Okay,
wasn't.
because I don't think it is. I don't know that it's. Hey, by the way, we had homework. Did you do your homework for today?
It's a federal holiday.
All right, nice.
Federal Reserve banks and branches will be closed on Monday the 20th. And
God, our economy is tanking, Mr. Went. Tanking.
wait a minute. Now, what do you mean? Did I do my homework? I am going on Friday. I went and saw um, Top Gun Maverick,
No, that
and
wasn't our homework.
right now I can't remember it, but
But it was
but
fantastic.
but I did watch Hustle.
Okay, that was
I
our homework.
remember that.
Okay. All right. And what'd you think?
I thought it was a very compelling movie. Uh, are we going to do spoiler alert here? Should we spoiler alert people
Well,
on
let's
Hustle?
do it. So this is a spoiler alert. I think by now people should just know we talk about things. But you're right. No, because what if there's a new person or
Let me
one
put
new
it this way.
listener?
If you haven't seen Hustle, it's worth it to turn us off right now and not
Yeah,
listen to us until you've seen Hustle because it's a good movie.
it is good.
And I'm a cinemaphile. Well, maybe that's claiming too much.
I'm
I
a
like to watch movies.
he just reduced his PhD down to a master's.
Actually, it's probably more like an associate's.
I think it's more than that.
All right. Well, nonetheless,
Okay.
uh, I don't like spoiling stuff for people because I really enjoy it. And I think there's some hidden gems in this film.
Some uncut gems. See what we did there?
Yeah, I almost did that, but you brought the ball over into the hoop for us. Thank you. I gave you the assist.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, so Adam Sandler is maturing into a really human filmmaker. Uh, he really takes the time and energy in this film to develop the ways that the characters relate to each other so that we can feel the emotional landscape. It would have been really easy to just make this the hero's journey of finding that guy and how hard it is to find that guy and then bringing him back to the States and getting him the job. That's all part of it, right? There's that excitement part of it.
Right.
But it would have been easy to miss the depth and complexity of, you know, the soul aspects of all the different things. And, Adam Sandler, Queen Latifah, a whole host of NBA stars, former
And some
stars and current
footballer
stars.
stars. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and guys that are, it was interesting to me because I don't know enough about the NBA to have understood exactly when I was seeing an NBA basketball player playing a role as an actor. I understood when I saw NBA stars playing themselves, but there were apparently a number of NBA players who played acting roles as not themselves. And it's an interesting thing because you get asked to do that as an NBA player, and you're basically saying, yeah, I know no one knows who I am because I'm going to be able to play this character that no one's going to know who I am. Right. So, it was a really cool mix. And my sense of it is Adam Sandler midway through writing this decided, oh, well, I'm going to get to hang out with a bunch of NBA guys that I want to hang out with. And so that's a big part of why he made the film, right? It was
Hmm.
like, okay, I want to go talk stories with these people. I want to meet Dr. J, all these greats. So that part I could really relate to, the idea of him just like digging deep down,
Living a
and loving
dream.
that.
Yeah. And LeBron James was one of the producers. And I know LeBron, like with that Amy, what's her name? Stand-up comedian, Amy
Amy Schumer.
Schumer. Yeah, I was saying shoemaker, and I knew that wasn't right. So
Yeah.
Amy Schumer, that he was in, like I heard some interviews of him saying, like he's doing this in part to have something after his NBA career's over.
LeBron wants to be into movie producing and stuff like that.
Yeah, the entertainment industry. Yeah.
Well, interestingly enough, during the release of this, he crossed the 1 billion net worth mark, which not many NBA players have done. And I
Damn.
don't know exactly all the depth of that, but for me, there's a hurdle you can't get over. You're always watching Adam Sandler, and he does a great job embodying the characters he is, right? And in Uncut Gems, I had less disbelief than in this film. But in this film, he's just too known as Adam Sandler, the comedian. His roles have all been him playing a funny guy.
See, I thought he did great. Like I
Oh, he
thought
did. The
him,
emotional resonance is all there. But it's
the
just
only thing that where I wasn't so in with the emotional resonance was him telling the story of how his hand got injured when he actually finally does tell the real story. And that didn't feel so real to me, but it gave depth to his connection with the agent friend of his, who finally hooks him up to the game. And like, um, And there was resonance where, like he said, and I stewed in it. Like I got to think about that when I was like, fuck.
Well, that's what's so great about the way the script is written and the way that the actors are given enough time scene to scene to really deepen into what's happening for them. And
Yeah.
so that part's totally believable, right?
And when you mentioned that earlier, like I thought of his wife when he's like, "You encouraged me to do this." She goes, "Yeah, now that you've done it, I'm kind of scared." And I was like,
Right. I love
"Fucking what
that.
a great scene!"
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Queen Latifah, she's been acting for a while and
Oh yeah, she's a
she's
boss.
great.
She's
She
a
looks
fucking boss.
great.
Their relationship together seemed totally real.
Yeah.
Totally real.
And every man in the world wants a woman who has his back on that level. Like she's such a great combination of, look, I'm not taking no shit and I'm not just enabling you outline, but at the end of the day, I have your back, right? I love
Well, it
you.
was kinda like we're in it together. It wasn't even like I have your back. We're in, and that's part of what I saw in the tune. We're in this together.
Yeah.
And her sharing the story of how, he, he on the bus when they first met.
Right.
That was a
Yeah.
lot of fun. And
Yeah.
I also like when he said, "Yeah, I just told him that whole story." She's all, "That was me that was passing out." "Oh, really? Well, it worked. Okay, so he's better." Yeah, yeah.
Well, yeah, and it's funny because a lot of guys have that kind of selective memory about stories about their life, and the women.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's the thing. It was so there were so many real things. Like you say, the depth was really good.
Well, and I think to be funny takes a level of intelligence. And so what we're seeing here is as Adam Sandler moves away from the kind of shtick comedy that he's done for so long, that intelligence is now being applied into a really great, like kind of really nice, warm film,
Yeah.
right? The other thing that I really related to, and I feel a lot of unease about being this vulnerable in this moment about what I'm about to say about myself. But when he was out on the road in that first opening montage, and there was like 7 different fast food things that he had, I could totally relate. Like I'm I've been that guy, and I'm hoping I'm not that guy in the next time I'm out by myself roaming around the countryside without my woman. But I'm that guy that's like, "Oh, she's not looking? Like, cool. I'm gonna have the KFC, right? I'm gonna have the McDonald's. I'm gonna." And it's interesting that was in there because it gives us a self-reflection, right? To look at like that piece. And so that film, it's full of the ways that we hide ourselves as men. And even the main hero character has this about him, right? Like they get to the point where he decides he's going to work with him and he gets him on the plane and they're going through customs and that's when he finds out that the guy has an assault charge on him
Yeah.
and there's like this whole thing that goes down around that.
But so talking about championing like men, one of the things I loved was the mom's speech where she was saying, "You give all this love to me, you give all this love to your daughter, you give none to yourself." And I think Sandy, was that his name? Adam Sandler's
I think
whatever
so.
his character, and she said, "Sandy took that weight off you so that you could be who you are." Like he took that weight on himself so you could be, and that I think is part of champion someone
Yeah,
is you take
reminding them to love
you
themselves.
yeah, and you take their weight off them. You you shoulder that burden so that they can soar.
I'm not sure you have to shoulder it. I think you can relieve it without taking it on.
Well, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't feel the need to proclaim my righteousness around this issue, but I think it's a beautiful observation of how she does remind him to be generous with himself, right? Because he is that kind of character. He's a very generous character, but he's also nobody's bitch either, which I like.
Yes, and
And he
but
gets
it also
reminded.
showed, though, he was that guy's bitch as
Yeah,
long as he let that guy under his skin.
Yeah,
And that
yeah.
guy was finding ways to do it, over and over. Like, that
Well,
was
no, I'm
so
talking about Adam
hardcore.
Sandler's character as he relates to the son of the business of the ball
Oh,
team owner.
he was a bitch until the end.
Right. Well, until the 2/3 mark, the 3rd act, right?
Yeah,
There's a whole
yeah,
thing that goes down where he just tells him off. He's like,
right.
"Ha!" And
And
that's
I
interesting because we were that was seated in the conversation he had with the father early in the film. And so
absolutely.
we were all like kind of, "All right, when's that moment gonna happen?"
Right, right. But also, like, that guy was in a place of pure power, you know, and I loved his comeuppance and how subtly that was done.
Yeah,
You know, you just had the sister there going, "You made a mess, I'm cleaning it up."
right.
That was it. And so it left for me my imagination to go, "Oh, that fucking guy made a mess. You knew it, I
Yeah,
knew it." Like,
yeah. Well, and it's brilliant because the whole time that we see this final sequence where it's game time, he's got the suit on, he's walking out, and we know that something good happened for the ball player character. We're feeling like, oh, he's a Sixer, right?
Yeah,
And when we
yeah,
finally get out to the court and find out what's really going on, that's another layer of filmmaking where he kept like misleading us and opening the door to another possibility without us really catching on right away.
right, right.
And to some degree, that he employed that technique successfully, and it wasn't really there weren't a lot of times when he didn't. I mean, how many times have we seen the coach and the athlete try the really hard training thing at the beginning, and the guy tells him that he has to beat a certain time, and then he ultimately 2/3 of the way through the film he finally beats that time. Like we knew that was going to happen, right?
Yeah,
But we still got to witness the trial of it and the and at the very first scene where they did that first run up the hill and he's following him in the car, I was like feeling tension around, is he going to accidentally run him over? Like shit. And then later, like I think the 3rd or 4th time they did that montage where he's running up the hill, he's all, yeah, you better worry about your heels. I'm going to run, might hit you.
yeah,
It was another, awareness of the tension of the film that the film holds, right? And I
yeah.
think that's masterful. And I think there's tension in comedy. And so Adam Sandler understands setup and release. And
Absolutely,
he's
absolutely,
definitely
yeah, yeah.
keeping that in his dramatic exposition, and I love that about him. I'm looking forward to whatever he's doing next, right? That's the thing. He's set up with Uncut Gems and Hustle. He has set us up to long for his next installment. And I think this is a bit of a stretch, but I'm going to go on and say it publicly. Adam Sandler is going to occupy the seat of the master when Woody Allen is no longer making films.
Well, I think Woody Allen's done. His last couple films have just fizzled, and I think the public, I just don't hear people talking well of him anymore, even within the industry.
Yeah, I get it.
Um,
And as far as comedic directors and writers who have a film legacy, he does have a significant film legacy,
he
right?
does, but who comes to my mind is Clint Eastwood. Because Clint Eastwood, remember, he had all those, like, films with the orangutan,
Every
and
Which
they were,
Way But Loose.
yeah, yeah, they were
Yeah.
just these goofy things, and even, the Dirty Harry, the last couple ones, like the one, The Gauntlet, that was just
Mhm.
pretty tongue in cheek,
Yeah.
goofy,
Yeah.
cheesy, and he makes fucking great films. Now, Uncut Gems wasn't Adam's movie, though. I mean, he was hired to star in someone else's movie for that one. I
He had
think.
nothing to do with the writing.
I don't think so. And his company, Madison Productions, wasn't part of that.
Yeah. That's not
But
the name of the company. What is it? It's
Happy Gilmore.
Happy Gilmore. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Which is a film worth seeing. I haven't seen
it
that in about 10, 15 years. It's worth going back to watch that too,
is good. Yeah.
especially if you love the game of golf.
Or the deal. What was that game show? Let's make a deal.
Yeah. Yeah. I just love the idea of being on imagine that scene where they go out after he gets the ball player gets like locked out of the showcase, and they go to the streets, and that scene
Yeah.
where they're doing street ball and
Yes.
Dr. J walks onto the court and everybody there, all those crowd people, what a couple of days. I'm sure it took them more than a day to film that scene. Maybe it only took one, but what an amazing experience to be there with Dr. J filming street ball, right?
Yeah.
And you could tell that they found some of the best street ball players
They
they
did.
could
Yeah, they
to
did.
be the ones that took this on. And that whole like, if it hits the rim, you get $50. If you get a bucket, and if you
Yeah.
win, you get $1,000, right?
Yeah.
That was just, I mean, the film is chock full of these wonderful, rich vignettes, and they
Yeah.
string together perfectly in terms of storytelling, right up right up to the very end,
Yeah. I
right? In the
agree.
airport. I'm like, oh, all right, good. Good for you. It doesn't turn out the way I thought it did, right?
Yeah.
And then oopsie.
Well, you know, and that was his buddy. That now we have some story about their connection with each other, and like how Adam ruined both their careers in a way.
Yeah.
Um, and the love they still have for each other, even though there's, you know, some motion between them, I'd say. And I don't mean that like as a emotional connection. I just mean like they both went different ways. So they don't see each other a lot,
Yeah.
but they're
Yeah.
still tight.
Yeah.
And I love how Adam Sandler, like when he hugs the guy, you know, before the game starts, and like, you know, there's a lot of love he has. Then he goes back to his players and goes, "Hey, if he steps on his right foot, he's gonna go for the basket. If he steps on his left, he's going back for three." You know, like he's still
Yeah.
like,
He's like, hey, I play
"I'm
to
here to
win.
win. I want to win. I
Yeah.
love you, and I want to win."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that
You know,
was
those are the kinds of friendships I want. Like, I like
yeah.
it that I could play full out with people. And I had an example of this come up in rehearsal this week, which was really great. Um, I'm playing with this band that does cover songs, a lot of them 70s cover songs. And one of them that got really stuck on because it has this kind of tricky solo intro, which is an Eagles song called Already Gone. And there's three lead guitar parts that open the song, right? But there's one in particular that was like the thing that would take it to the next level. And the other guitarist in the band has the down, 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 down,
And you
down. He
have
has
the
that line.
dun
But
dun dun dun.
but there's another line that's been like giving me hell. And I've been I gave up working on it 2 months ago. And up to that point, I'd gotten so far and I was like, so my friend Tomas, who I've been playing music with since we were 14, he comes to rehearsal this week and he's like, yeah, I've almost worked out that solo intro for Already Gone. And he plays bass, right?
Yeah.
So he's like, but I've been jumping over to bass for him on a couple of songs so he can play lead guitar. And so here he is. He's like me. He's almost 60 and he's starting to take up lead guitar. And I fully like got my goat when he said that. And I was like, no. He's like, well, since no one else is doing it. And so literally I spent like the next half hour getting that thing together before the singer
Wow.
got there. And
Wow.
so it was great because Tomas loves me and he doesn't want to undermine me, but at the same time, he challenged me man to man. Like he like put it to me like, do it, dude, or get out of the way.
Right now, one person has it, and that
Yeah,
person's gonna play it if need be.
yeah. So
I love that. Yeah, I love that.
and that I think that's a really great part of male friendships or masculine friendships is that
It
challenge part.
I think it's friendships. Like, I was listening to the Always Sunny podcast, and their producer of the podcast is a woman, Megan, and she's also one of the producers of the show, it seems. Anyway, she was because they asked her, like, you know, when we shut you down with an idea, does it bother you? And she was like, no, I really appreciate it because it always feels to me like you're not saying I'm not funny. You're saying that idea is not funny. What do you have better than that? So, like, their trust in her being funny is never challenged.
No, it's the
It's the
idea.
idea that's challenged, right?
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think that I had that experience with you in our last podcast where, like, I asked a question, I was asking it of our guest, and you jumped in to answer, and I was like, "Let her," you know. And
Mhm.
then after I did that, I was feeling inside me like, "Oh fuck, I've think I, might have hurt Mark's feelings. I didn't mean to do that, blah, blah. And afterwards you were like, no, man, we're good. Like I work with in a men's group. We're sharp
Yeah.
stone. Like,
Iron sharpens iron.
yeah. So I appreciated that um gift, I would say. And like, this is how we're going to operate. This is how I want to operate. You're saying to me, like, this is the level, which is so nice, like when we don't have to tiptoe around and it's such a fucking waste of time.
I would say it's not actually nice. There's like a connotation with nice that I'm not comfortable with. I think it's um, powerful
Well,
that we
that's
have that agreement.
nice.
And I love that
Nice
you
to be
stepped
powerful.
into owning that before we actually made it explicit, because that's just your default behavior. And so I'm totally cool with that. And there's a point at which we may cross a line where it does feel uncomfortable with each other, but I trust that too.
Well, I was talking with it about this kind of thing with Bodhi yesterday about owning, like what is the term you use where you own your feelings and emotions and
I call it radical responsibility.
that's it, radical responsibility, yes. So I was talking about that with Bodhi a bit, and she was like, "Yeah, and after you're with something, you may go back to the person and go, well, that really did hurt my feelings when you said that, and you hope they don't do it again." Like, so she was talking about with her boyfriend, they had this conversation of the middle ground of overthinking something, but also of not thinking of something at all and finding that middle place.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally understand what that means.
And I think in a way what you shared is the relationship you and Tomas have is you, like you said, you've been playing music and going through life together since the age of 14. It's like with Chris Dienstag, I think there is no question of the love that you both have for each other. And in that, things could be said and done, and like, well, like even if my feelings are hurt by Chris, I don't think they ever would be anymore. Because again, that the feelings are hurt when we're not feeling loved.
Well, I think there's a lot of different ways that that plays out. What I was about to say and what I'm saying now is that I've had friendships that feel the same root level friendship, like basis, like I can trust this guy and we'll have a fight or whatever. And then I've had things come up where I actually did want to pull back and not be as present for the friendship. And that's happened to me. And so I what I recognize in that is that even though there's this sense of the indomitable connection, the forever nature of the mutual admiration and love for each other, there are real things, real lapses in integrity where that can be cut, that thread can be cut.
Absolutely. That
And
yeah. And Bodhi and I were talking about that. Like if you did go to someone and say, "Well, my feelings were hurt," and it just kept going that way, you may go like, "Oh, that's someone I just want a distance from.
yeah,
I no
yeah,
longer want to interact with
yeah.
that
It
individual."
wears down your trust when people unconsciously or consciously break through barriers or issues. And now, in some instances, there can be growth from it. Like Tomas pushing me past my comfort zone, that's growth, right?
Yes,
And
absolutely.
I think there's layers to that, like different levels of that can be damaging. And it's all about, resilience and calibration and your ability to expand, right? And I've really worked in the last 8-10 years of my life on my ability to move beyond the settings that I had established for most of my adult life. And a big part of that resilience and capacity was able to happen as a result of not using cannabis.
Hmm.
And I just want to speak it again. Like, this is the age of legal cannabis, and I'm 5 years, July 5th, I'll have 5 years sober from cannabis use. And I don't think it would have been possible for me to have the level of maturity I had, because your body is a gateway to wisdom, and expansion happens through the body. And one of the things I was using cannabis for was to try and cover up and numb out and escape a lot of the early trauma that I had and a lot of the traumatic contexts that I kept kind of reinvigorating, with my own reactivity to them. And it wasn't until I broke free of that and had to find new ways to unlock my discomfort that I was able to expand. And I think, being someone who seeks expansion, who wants more breadth, depth, and wackiness. Yeah, wackiness. That's a gift.
It is a gift. Comes a little Amazon box with peanuts and
That's not a
airbags.
bad idea. There's this whole subscription service people get like a
Yeah.
monthly thing.
Yes.
Maybe we should just start the
Sort of
wacky box.
wackiness. Whack a box.
Yeah, you can either open it or smash it, depending on what you want to do. And sometimes smashing it will be a good thing. Sometimes
Those are
smashing it,
spiders.
or you'll get, yeah, that'd be wacky.
Now
Here's
Peter's
a
gonna
box
be
of
after us.
spiders. Or this time it's a small baggie filled with red paint. So if you smash it, you're gonna get red paint everywhere. No.
Oh dear.
We've
Have you
really-
seen those videos of the guy who got so pissed off with people stealing his Amazon boxes? He rigged up boxes with like this fart thing and glitter and all. Yeah.
Yeah, I have seen those. That's brilliant stuff. In fact,
Yeah.
Amazon should have one of those that you can buy.
Ah,
So you don't have to try to
that's
like
an idea.
build one, right?
Yeah, that's a
Right?
great idea. We should text that guy and go, dude, sell these on Amazon. Like if people are having trouble buying, having their boxes on.
Yeah, order the, and it's like when they steal the cash from the bank, when it explodes, you get paint
Right,
all over you,
right,
and it's
right.
like you're the dude,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. A wonderful life.
Especially with us. This is a crazy ride. It's a low horsepower ride, but we get to see more of the scenery that way. And it's not quite so loud.
I don't know. What if the muffler falls off? It can be quite loud.
Isn't it kind of falling off in the picture? No, those are mushrooms that are falling off. I see
Yeah.
in their logo. Got
Yeah.
it. I was kind of jealous the other day. Oh, I realized it had nothing to do with it. I'm looking at our screen right now, and I noticed that the Moped Outlaws logo actually landed on top of her, upper third. And I was like, why is he giving her the upper third? Why isn't that on our blah, blah, blah? And I'm realizing now as I look at this that it just happens to be where it lands when you
have 3 people.
Yeah.
Yeah. We could do this if it's really bothering you.
No. I mean, no, it's not bothering me.
Okay.
Okay. Wow.
What about this? Does that bother you?
Only a little bit. Just a little bit.
For those of you who can't see what's going on, visually, we're on cameras and they're side by side. And what Greg or camp counselor Minky was doing is moving them back and forth, left and right. And then the last one, he made his really big and mine really small, which is kind of an accurate reflection of reality. But that's a side bit. And so that's what's going on.
And how Mark knows this, we're not going to go into right now. Hey, speaking of that, I am really feeling randy. This summertime feeling is growing. So hook me up.
It's God's work, my friend. God is in you and he wants to get out.
She wants to get out. We want to get out. We want out. We want out. All the gods and goddesses embodied by me. We want out.
There are souls that want to come into this mess. God bless them. Like, wow.
Well, like, we started with is Robyn's having the time of her life right now.
Yeah,
I really am so proud of her. Just like my love for her is flowing very freely. It just, what an amazing trip she started on. And so many challenges to it. Even, the days and weeks leading up to departure time were challenging.
Yeah, and her perseverance is a real testament to her capacity, despite being raised by you and Liz. That could have gone the other way. I was about to praise you, and then I thought, well, it'd be funnier if I dissed you.
It's funnier.
You know what I'm thinking is it's the solstice, right? And
yeah,
literally, I mean, setting the spiritual sort of metaphor aside, and just there's a lot more energy in the northern hemisphere. literal energy from the sun, right?
Right.
So it's an energizing period, which stimulates our whole biology, which is one of the reasons why what you said a few minutes ago is real. Is that this is the time, right? The summer maypole dance, the dancing around the on the solstice, and then making that late night connection for love.
Was The Wicker Man a summer solstice or a winter solstice story?
Summer,
It was a
summer,
summer solstice story?
yeah.
Wicker Man, that was a horror film.
Oh my God, one of the scariest. Like, there's a top 5 scary for me, some of
Really?
which I wouldn't even watch. Like, I won't watch The Exorcist. The Legend of Hell House scared the crap out of me when I was
Oh, when we were kids.
yeah,
Yeah, that was a scary
it
that was
really
a
is a scary
good scary movie. That was a good scary
yeah,
movie.
yeah.
Yeah,
And then, Wicker Man is also quite frightening.
yeah.
And most people don't think of it as this, they think of it as sci-fi, but I think Alien is a really great horror film. That
Oh,
first
fuck
movie is
yeah.
a
That
great
was
horror
so
movie.
scary. I remember I saw that with Elizabeth, probably Mike. It must have watched it with Mike. There may have been one other person with us, maybe, but I remember walking out. We saw it at the Corte Madera Theater, and
Mhm.
I remember walking out at night and just having this feeling in my body of like
Yeah,
unease, just
yeah,
like, oh,
yeah. Ridley Scott is a great director, and he
yeah,
really brought it home with that film.
yeah, he did.
And, I remember being how old were we? We were like
Didn't Ridley Scott do the first Top Gun, or was that Tony Scott?
I don't think it was Ridley Scott. It might be.
God,
No, you know what it was? Well, I don't know. I'd have
now,
to look that up. Are you
yeah,
gonna look it up?
yeah.
Um, I forget what I was about to say about the Alien. Oh, we were like I think I was like 17 or something like that when it came out. What year did it come out?
That was like 80 something.
Yeah, so I would have been right about there, about 18 if it
Oh,
was
he
19.
did Thelma and Louise. Ridley Scott did.
Yeah,
Alien.
but Top Gun, no, I don't think it was. But
Let's see,
Tom,
Thelma and
Tom
Louise.
Cruise was in a Ridley Scott film right before he did
He did
Top
Legend.
Gun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Legend.
yeah.
Um,
But I don't think Ridley. I think it was those those really famous two producers that I can't remember their names right now.
what's
That's how
kind of
famous they are. They did a lot of action stuff in this.
well, yeah, the
Bruckheimer, that's it.
yeah, but they weren't the directors. Who directed?
Top
Tony
Gun.
Scott. It was Tony Scott.
Okay.
So, well, I mean, not Ridley, but it was his brother Tony. I think they're related. I'm like 99%
Now we're
sure.
just making shit up.
No, I really think Tony Scott, he was the youngest of three brothers, one of whom is fellow film director Ridley. Yeah,
Oh, great. Okay.
yeah.
Well, that makes sense that Tom would go from Ridley
Oh,
to
these fucking
Tony.
two guys did them. Like fucking Tony Scott did True Romance. Did you ever see that movie?
Not that I remember.
Oh, it's so good. That
Is it a
was
horror flick?
no. It's Quentin Tarantino's screenplay. And so it was the film that like I think gave him the clout to direct his own movie. And
Ah,
it's got the best film scene ever created in life with
that's a pretty bold statement.
with Christopher Walken and gosh darn it, what's his name who played the news guy in Apocalypse Now? Um,
So tell me the name of the film again,
it's called True Romance.
and what genre is it?
It's a rom-com.
Really?
It doesn't Quentin Tarantino create rom-coms?
Not typically.
It is a Quentin Tarantino film, I'd say. There's a
Right, that's its
romance.
genre.
There's a romance in there, but
All right, so I've made myself a note to watch it.
yeah. And what's the guy's name? Dennis Hopper. Dennis
Yeah.
Hopper and Christopher Walken have the best scene ever created in film, legend, history, whatever.
Okay, good. We're gonna check that out. Joe
Yeah.
Bob says, check it out.
Oh yeah, Joe Bob is blowing me right now. It's so good. Sorry, Joe. Didn't
Well,
mean to throw you under the
I'm glad
testicles like
that's
that.
not under, and I'm glad that's not on the camera. We can't see below the
We're
desk.
all glad it would change the
Yeah,
family-friendly show we're creating here.
that's right. Well, yeah, I think this is a good time to change the subject.
The summit. Change
subject.
the summit. Okay.
Yeah.
What are we going to talk about now?
I don't know anything.
Summer camp.
One time at summer camp. Have you ever gone? Do you ever remember going to summer camp?
Did go to summer camp. I went to a YMCA, the Indian Guides. It was a YMCA summer camp, and I sold butter toffee peanuts to earn money to go, and I did it. I was able to earn enough to go. I remember I became very fond of butter toffee peanuts because I bought a couple cans myself, and they were delicious. And I remember I saw lightning strike the ground. So there was a storm, and I was in one of the cabins looking through the screen, and a lightning strike like within 20 yards of the cabin. That was amazing to me.
Wow.
And I remember I came home with a bird house that I had done in wood shop, and I'd loved that. That was like this wonderful. But I also remember being very melancholy and sad.
Yeah, I think that's true. A lot of boys and girls go away to summer camp, and at first they feel like a loss, so they feel alone. And then they go through that, and then you form bonds, and you get to do fun stuff. Did you eventually come out of it, or did that last for you?
You know, I don't recall having any friendships at this particular summer camp. I don't know if that's my own propensity to lean into the melancholy, lonely narrative of my childhood.
Yeah.
Or was it really that way?
Well, I would say that your description of it validates that's your experience, and that's enough for me. Was that it wasn't that, it was melancholic, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I remember liking it. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Well, with a lightning strike like that is a striking memory, man. That's beautiful. Like I don't remember ever seeing lightning strike in front of me that on the ground. That's quite a memory.
It was. It's still, I could just see it clear as day right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Clear
I
as
had a different experience with summer camp because I had two basic ones that I can talk about, but the one I'm thinking of was kind of an urban summer camp. In other words, I lived at the time in North Oakland, and I managed to get set up for summer school through the school district. But it was cool. It had different classes. One of the classes I took was tennis, and then the other was video news production, which was really great because I went on, I'd already been into stuff like CB radio broadcasting and stuff like that. And so when I went on to TV news production, it got me on a road that, carried me through, like after high school and then into my junior college experience. I was studying film, and that love of editing and that love of shooting imagery and being on camera, like that stuck with me the whole way. And that led to lots of great opportunities in my life, including, how I got involved with Bill Graham Presents and then ultimately Lucasfilm in my career. So that summer really points to a real love that I have for image and sound and production. And we were tasked with creating a short broadcast of some kind of noteworthy news thing. And so we had to write it down, and then the other kids would shoot us, and we each did our own, short news segment, right? Like in those days, it was still 4:3. It wasn't widescreen like it is now.
Yep.
Right? So there was no doing this and having something appear here. It was definitely straight on. And we did just a little chyron with our name under it, because we had a little chyron generator. And it was the shitty old ones that were just dot matrix style, which for those of you who don't know what that is, it's a bunch of little dots that form the letter. Yeah, there we go. Really, thanks for that boring exposition there, Mark. What was fascinating about my experience—
You just lost the young crowd.
Well, I'm about to get them back.
Okay.
I was really a rebel at that point. I did not like being told that I was supposed to do things a certain way. And instead of writing like a serious news thing, I did a quick PSA, and it was something I stole from some comedians at the time. And basically, I just didn't want to write like a serious news bit. And I thought that was kind of that was being done all around us. And I was like, oh, we need something better than that. And so I did no stems, no seeds that you don't need. Acapulco Gold is badass weed.
Badass weed.
And the teacher was none too impressed with me, but the kids were laughing.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny because that's in our senior show thing that happened. Like that was a tradition at the high school. The seniors would do this. Two of my friends did that, and the notorious part was they lit a real joint on stage.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And then the other summer camp I went to was soccer camp.
Well,
and that was amazing.
Did you go more than one summer?
No, just the one.
So you had a summer of camp and that was it in your life?
Well, I had the two. I went to the one that was more urban, where we studied tennis, and
so that was a different summer than the
right.
soccer?
And then the next summer,
okay.
My parents couldn't really afford much, and so my good buddy Steven was interested. We were both playing soccer full time, and his dad and mom were really interested in getting us out of the house because I was hanging out with him most of the time. And so they ponied up for me to go to soccer camp with Steve. And
tell you what, went family, we will pay for your son to go with our son and get the fuck out of our house.
It wasn't quite like that, but nonetheless, they loved us. His parents loved me. And so that was really sweet of them to pay for soccer camp. And so the way that worked was we lived again in North Oakland, and Steve and I would have to get on the 6 a.m. BART, the first BART, and go all the way to the Fremont station because that's where the soccer camp was. And it was about a 2-block walk from the Fremont station to the field. And we loved it. We had like Adidas cleats, and we had shin guards, and they gave us these special soccer t-shirts that we got that went with our Adidas shorts. And we just had a freaking blast. And one of the coolest things about that was Steve's family owned a restaurant called Mama's Royal Cafe in Oakland. And so we would go to Mama's in the morning to make our lunch, and they had everything, man. So we would make crab sandwiches with bacon, and like it was like we had the best freaking lunches of anybody at the soccer camp. Awesome. It was a lot of, and that was my first experience with something called ERG, which is spelled ERG. And it was basically a powdered Gatorade that you put in your water to replenish you, because we were burning through some calories, man.
Nice.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah. So that was a lot of fun. And Steven and I used to come home because we only had the one shirt. They only gave us the one t-shirt. So every night we would wash the shirts because they were soaking with sweat, and then blow dry them with the hairdryer so they'd be dry by the next morning. And the parents were like, "Are you blow drying that shirt again?" Fucking hilarious.
Every night. Just get used to it, Mom. Every motherfucking night. So both your parents were together during this period of your life?
No, I lived with my mom at that point.
Okay.
But yeah. I just said my parents because it's like neither one of them could deal with it.
Well, your dad couldn't deal with it because he was.
Well, what I mean is my mom didn't have the resources, paying rent, and
Right.
She was actually probably very relieved that I had made a friend whose father owned a restaurant. I was a teenager and consuming.
Probably relieved, like you were doing something positive, going to this camp, and
but it was a lot of fun. And that year, that fall, we did our president's fitness testing. Do you remember doing president's fitness testing in school?
I remember it coming about and it being part of a Wheaties campaign. Like on the back of the Wheaties, you could mark your fitness and turn it in for something.
Yeah, I don't remember that part, but because of the soccer summer, I set a school record for one of the things.
Nice.
And then in high school, I ran a 4-minute and 20-second mile.
Wow, that's
which
nice.
is pretty fast for high school.
Yeah, it's pretty
And I
good.
had people tell me they didn't believe me. And I was like, well, I was there. I did it. And they said, well, why didn't they recruit you for track? And I was like, well, I didn't really want to do track. I was on the fencing team, but in order to qualify for the fencing team, you had to, do the thing where you ran the mile, because the fencing team was like 3 days a week was 2 hours of weight circuit. And then Tuesday, Thursday was running.
When
So
did
you
you ever do fencing?
so first we did 2 hours of workouts, then because you had a prerequisite, you had to be enrolled in the weightlifting course, and you had to be, in this one PE class that was mostly about running,
Mhm.
and then you could be on the fencing team, which was after school from 3 to 5. So, anyway, when I qualified for that, I ran a 4:20 mile, which was apparently pretty good.
That's pretty good for high school, like you said.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Yeah, like professionals. I remember when I was in high school, one of our friends, Larry Gannett, I think he ran a 4-minute mile in high school, or maybe even broke 4 minutes or something. But he was
No, breaking 4
on,
minutes would have been a world record at that point.
I don't think so. I think it had been broken. I know the 4-minute mile was like the bar where if you were a badass, anything, yeah, over that. I'm not sure. Obviously, I'm not sure because
Well, I
none of my
remember
friends.
later at the Boho house, Larry and I arguing about it because he said, "There's no way you ran a 4:20 in high school, man." I was like, "Yeah, there was."
Yeah, he was he's one of those people who's really transformed quite a bit in the past few years.
Yeah,
And
I've had some conversations with him. He's got a good heart. He's been through a lot of loss lately.
yeah, yeah, he has. Um, one thing about summer camp that I wanted to bring up because it showed me the behind the scenes political bullshit that exists in our fucking Marin County. So right when I was divorced, one of my dear friends in life, it's interesting because I consider her a dear friend, but she comes in and out of life. Um, she and her partner in the camp, Beth. So Aaron and Beth ran super cool summer school that was part of the Larkspur recreational department. And I think anyway, it was awesome. One of the things that was awesome is the two of them treated children like human beings who could make their own decisions. And you'd see parents come in like, oh, with an agenda. And Aaron and Beth would go to the child like, what do you want? You have a voice in this. And I loved that. But what happened is, um, Aaron got offered a position, like a dream position at a different township here in Marin. And the behind the scenes political BS, like the just undermining it seemed to me like finance, it just wasn't supported. And it was an incredible school and it fell apart when they left. And it just showed how the two of them for years, like 14 years or something, just held this thing together from sheer passion,
Yeah.
despite the lack of support and chaos. And
Yeah, their spiritual commitment to it was what made it work.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I have a little bit of experience with that. Last year, I got to be an instructor at something called EDMO, Adventure More Summer Camp, and I'm doing it again this year. But I'm a school administrator this year. I'm a site assistant and not just an instructor. And I start today. In fact, while you're hearing this conversation, I'll be in the
In
classroom
summer school,
in summer school as a
in
summer
summer
school
camp.
site assistant.
Yeah.
And that preparing for that's been like a 3-month journey. And recently, some serious challenges have come up for it. And
Wow.
I've had to really break through some very significant issues that have come up and the thing that broke me through it, and this was like on Wednesday night, I was actually having this deep soul searching problem, because one of the things that's going on in America right now is it's really hard to find people to do jobs. especially low tier jobs. So like summer camp counselor and summer camp instructor, even though we're paying 20 plus an hour for these positions, they're not all full. And I was looking at the roster, and we've got twice as many kids this year as we did last year. And I was a technology instructor last year, so we did things like 3D animation and block coding and 3D building and stuff like that. And this year, those programs are well attended. I think there's 15 in one version, and then like 19 in the other, or 20 in the other one. Anyway, there's two classes per day, and no instructors listed. And my job as assistant is to cover whenever there's no instructor. Well, there's also no counselors for those two positions either. So I was talking to the main district manager. I'm like, hey, there's some math here that I'm not sure how we're going to be able to handle. And I want to brainstorm with you. And like, we're opening a little later than some of the other camps, and her camps, she's been dealing with managing the camps that are open on top of this particular issue. And I pointed it out to her, and it says, well, I don't see how I can teach two separate classes at once, especially when there's no counselors to take. Like, the counselor takes them away for like 45 minutes to do stuff in the play yard and stuff while you prep for the afternoon session. So there's the morning session, then there's the team time, and then there's the afternoon session, and then lunch, and then there's another playground session thing. And I'm like, if there's two of those and no counselors, I don't know how I'm going to do 4 class sessions and be in 2 different locations and prep for both of them. I don't see how that's happening. And so she was so overwhelmed with everything else she was handling that her response to me was
figure it out.
Discourteous on one level, and then then it was like dismissive. Just you got to figure it out. And I was like, I replied to her. I said, hey, I think it's important that I communicate a couple things to you. One of which was, it didn't feel good when you made it about my attitude. Like, it's not about my attitude, right? I was asking
1 + 1 just equals 2,
right? And then secondarily, like, I literally, the solution you offered me doesn't work from a math standpoint. She threw me this thing that was as if there was only one class and no
1 + 1 = 1, Mark. Move on.
Right, exactly. and so I said to her, okay, great. Thank you for your response. This, I'll and I just let it go, because at that point it was like 6 o'clock at night. And so there I was on Thursday morning in the middle of the night, really. And it was dark under the full moon. And I was up worrying about this, like, okay, because my commitments to the kids.
Yeah.
And then I just took a deep breath, and I'm like, my commitments to the kids. So whatever happens, I'm going to show up Monday, and we're going to make it work somehow. I don't know exactly how that's going to work. And I might not actually be able to teach 2 separate technology classes. I'll have all the kids in the same room, right? Or and we'll do something together,
right?
And then we'll go out in the yard and we'll do the emotional team building stuff, which I love about Edmo. That's one of the great things about it, is they have this emotional intelligence component to what they do. And then I just kind of was let it go. I'm like, okay, whatever happens, happens. And then so Thursday morning, I got another Slack message from her, and she said, okay, well, we moved a couple things around, and there's one person who's going to be able to instruct one of the classes. So that made now it'll work. I'm still going to be working like a dog trying to do all of the administrative stuff and teach a class, but it got more doable. Right.
Right.
And just by me having the mental attitude of, we'll figure it out. Right. And that was really a breakthrough for me. And I can choose whether to get stressed out and upset, or I can choose to just ride it out when things get weird and there's kids running around everywhere screaming, and no one knows how to do their login and get on the website. And this is where me being a practitioner of Zen and meditation becomes the most important aspect of myself, so that I can present this calm, whatever, man.
Buddha attitude. Man. Calm Buddha man.
Actually, I think what I'll do is I'll hang my certificates from the Dude University. That's what I'll do is I'll put them up in my class.
All right. And let the kids know your teacher is a graduate of the Dude University. And I
Yeah.
just want you to know you can call me the Dude.
Or I abide, right?
Yeah.
Well, the two certificates are right here.
Why don't you have the kids call you the Dude?
My name for these certificates isn't the Dude, but
what is it?
Jedi Dude went.
So Dude is in there. See, so you could just say, so you could just call me either Jedi or the Dude.
Or Jedi Dude.
That'll give the kids love that kind of stuff.
Anyway, so I have an honorary degree of Doctor of Divinity in the field of metaphysics from
Jedi
Abide
Dude
University.
Doctor of Divinity in the field of metaphysics, which is a kind way of saying nothing.
And here is honorary degree Master of the Arts in the field of abidance counseling.
Abidance. The Dude abides. You know, that's one of those movies that I thought was okay, but I wasn't overwhelmed by it. But the what do you call the legacy of that film is so profound.
Yeah.
With White Russians and bowling and
yeah, it'd be fun if I had long hair and a goatee, it'd be even better. I could show up in my bathrobe and be like,
well,
all right.
you have a wig, don't you?
No. Wait.
Oh, I thought you did.
I don't think I do.
No, you don't have a Halloween wig.
But you know what? One of the things that we do at this is we have costume day every week.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I could do the Dude one of those costume days.
Yeah. What if there was a Jedi dude, like this Jedi that was just like burnt out?
It's like got the bathrobe,
yeah,
and the lightsaber.
Yeah.
But the
like
lightsaber, there's
joint
some
with the
wires hanging
lightsaber.
off it. It's kind of busted.
Yeah, and what if like he has a joint? You see the lightsaber go, zoom, you know, it lights the end of the joint.
Well, that wouldn't be appropriate for school, but instead of a White Russian, it'd be a blue milk Russian, right? Because
there
blue
you
milk
go.
is the Star Wars.
A blue Russian.
A blue Russian.
Speaking of Russia,